Morning, Thursday the 30th of October. It's a windy autumnal day. Today I'm going to be doing some work in the garden. I'm going to be actually building this garden staging, which I mentioned in an earlier video. It's staging for the greenhouse. Very interested to get that started and hopefully largely completed today. My wife's cleared out the greenhouse, so that will make life a lot easier. It's windy and wet outside, but we've got kind of a temporary marquee arrangement so we can work undercover, so that's good. Now this channel was about me and my treatment and my mindset going through the treatment, but I feel like there's some more detail I can give you about the main part of my treatment that I'm currently going through. And I had stem cell transplant back in February, which went really well and it has put me in remission. My sister Mary donated her cells and they were transfused into me in February, and it's a long process for them to be to embed and for me to be ready to be discharged. So they always say it's a 100-day procedure, but that's when we were staying in Bristol. We came home in May. Now the main thing after which is they do a bone marrow biopsy, and from that they can tell that I no longer have leukemia. They don't say it like that. I'm in remission. There's a chance it could come back any time, but it's really good news, and it shows that the stem cell transplant worked really well. Now the main side effect of that is the ongoing management of the fact that I've received transfused blood cells, and it's not like they get used and they dissipate. They are in my body. So I've had transplanted cells which are effectively foreign, and there is a tendency of my body to try and reject those cells, and so the treatment is to manage that so that my body and Mary's cells can live peaceably together. First off, the problems were skin related, and I was diagnosed with a fairly high dose of steroids and then weaned off, and the skin problems seemed to go away. That's what they call acute graft versus host disease. But then after the steroids came out of my system, we noticed that there were lots of problems that I was diagnosed with. There was a cough, there were problems with my mouth being extremely dry, and my blood tests were showing problems with liver and kidney function. So it was all quite a traumatic experience for a while, but they need to check to make sure that those problems again are associated with graft versus host disease. So they have to leave you suffering until they've ensured that graft versus host is what they're up against, and sure enough that's what it turned out to be. So we had various cameras down into lungs and samples taken. We had breathing tests, we had CT scans, we had MRI scans, and the result of it was everyone agreed we were up against graft versus host disease. So we were back on steroids again, a dose of 75 milligrams of prednisolone, which was agreed that we would wean off straight away, almost straight away, at a rate of dropping down 5 milligrams a fortnight until I'm off altogether. Now hopefully when I'm off the steroids, this graft versus host disease, fact, my body has had a rest from that conflict. The problem would have gone away, but that's, I think, fairly unlikely to happen. So they need to look at possible treatments post steroids, because you can't stay on steroids forever. They're not great. They are not good for the mood, they're not good for bone structure, and they're amazing drug for like short-term fixes. So, graft versus host disease, what's the options? We have a drug that's not yet approved by NICE, so that doesn't seem to be an option. It would just be a waiting game for that one. And then there's something called ECP, which I've had to look into. I'll provide a link in the description to this video, which will direct to, it's actually a children's hospital website, but it's the description of what ECP is very good. It stands for extracorporeal photopheresis, and what the process is, it's actually more of a mechanical process. Blood is drawn from the patient, white blood cells are separated, and these white blood cells are then treated with a photoactive drug. Now that drug, the cells that have been treated with that drug are then exposed to UV light, and then the cells are retransfused back into the patient. And what that's supposed to do is reduce the effect of lymphocytes, and lymphocytes are the active cells which are trying to reject the transplanted cells. They also use this treatment in patients who've had organ transplants, because the same thing happens with rejection. So that's quite interesting to find out about. So that would be an option, but given that I'm in Taunton and that treatment would have to happen in Bristol, they are looking at alternatives. But in the meantime, once my steroids are below 20 milligrams a day, which will happen on Thursday, I qualify for a trial called GvHD, which is specifically looking at a new drug called, I'm going to say this wrong, Itacitinib. And they will, I'll provide a link to how that's, or write it in the description, because I'm sure I've said that wrong. But that drug is something that is being trialled for the treatment of graft versus host disease. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be going up to Bristol and being screened to see whether I